The Political Trucker Channel.
Hi, and welcome to the Political Trucker Channel. I'm your host, Ray. Just wanted to let you know a little bit about my background. I've been driving a truck since 2006. Did take a break for about 7 years, a couple years after I started driving. But then I got back into it in 2014, I believe. I actually am an owner-operator. I own a 2023 389 Peterbilt, pulling a triaxle low pro step deck. I specialize in oversized and some heavy haul. Enjoy it. It's a good job. And there's pros and cons to trucking, period. Being away from home, dangerous road conditions, especially in the wintertime. There's a lot of things that can go wrong out here. But there's a lot of things that can go right if you do it right. So I'm going to share some information on some of my opinions of what I think is going on. Then I'm also going to hit you with some facts that are not in dispute. We're going to talk about the recent law that was passed in Arkansas on how I think it's a good thing, but it didn't go far enough, and how now Oklahoma is actually considering passing a similar law. So, getting back to my background on this, I actually been in this industry since 2006. My father has been driving since 1980, possibly sooner, and I pretty much grew up in this industry. I know how it works. When I was a kid, my dad was gone. He drove during the time when people were running 2 logbooks, which was ridiculously stupid, but that was the only way to make money back then in the day, because I think they were only getting like 10 or 11, 12 cents a mile, which that's another thing we'll talk in a future video. And one of the things I really want to hit home on this is that got to be able to read and speak English. Our laws are set in that place for a reason. I cannot go to Spain and become a CDL driver over there until I can demonstrate that I can read and write their language. And my CDL will not transfer to them. But it seems these companies in these other countries are able to come over here and transfer, and let's say they move to California. California is a big issue as well. There's several states that will just hand out CDLs like candy, like it's Halloween. So let's say I come over from India and I go move to California and I had a CDL in India. They'll just pretty much give me my CDL. Might have to take a written exam, which if that's the case, and you still can't read English, I don't know how they pass it, but somehow these states are giving these CDLs out to other drivers. And then these other countries that actually own trucking companies here in the country, there's several in California, there's several all over the United States, but I can think of one in California, and I'm not going to mention by the name, and the only reason why is because I had some personal experience with them, because they've actually damaged my truck. And everybody I talked to at that company was from the same region in the world, and the language barrier was absolutely crazy. I had to email them in their own language just to get my money back from the damage. It was really terrible. So let's talk about why Arkansas's law is setting precedent on how it needs to be implemented. So let's talk about how the CDL driver's license works. I live in the state of Oklahoma. My CDL was issued by the state of Oklahoma, but it's backed by the federal government. Federal government has rules and regulations through the Department of Transportation on what dictates and the regulations that we have to follow while we're out here operating in commerce across state lines. The states have their own set of rules on, how much weight you can actually have on the interstate, or how much axle weight per this. And it's the reason why there's scale houses in every state, and that's why every state has their own DOT officers and state troopers that are qualified to do inspections and stuff like that. We're going to get into that here in a minute. What happened to me last year in Arizona. So, got to be able to read and speak the language. these companies are now being incentivized to just put as many people through the training programs and put butts in the seats, and these states are getting money for issuing out CDLs, so that way they can put people in the butts of the seats of these trucks, because there is a false impression out here that there is a driver shortage. There really isn't. There's not, and I'm not saying that to be inaccurate. There might be more van and reefer drivers that can handle during certain times of the year, and there might be more flatbed and step decks during certain times of the year. But after it all balances out, there's really not a driver shortage, and if there is, it's very minor. So these companies are getting paid extra money to get people in these trucks, and a lot of these companies are, rightfully so, should be safety driven. But in the end, people go into business to make money. So safety is absolutely paramount, and it should. And a lot of these companies will preach one thing, say safety, 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 but yet do this, do this, do this. And when you do this, do this, do this, they'll kind of turn a blind eye, or they'll just, like, we didn't know. They'll deny it, or they'll just won't acknowledge it until a driver does something terrible, like get into an accident and kill somebody. And then they'll just get rid of the driver, settle the lawsuit out of court or whatever, and then they'll just stick another driver in that truck or in another truck and just pray to God that everything works out. So when Arkansas passed this law, I was actually happy when they were actually implementing this. This actually happened when I was going through the scale house out of Tennessee into West Memphis, Arkansas. I saw them actually doing this, and I personally seen it, and I was thrilled to death. They had truck drivers lined up that could not read or speak English, and they were shutting them down. And even the chatter in some of these truck stops as Arkansas was doing this back in the late I would say probably 1st of March, middle of March, when they were first implementing this, before Governor Sanders actually passed it in law. A lot of these foreign-based drivers were scared to death to go through Arkansas, because they didn't want to lose their CDL, they didn't want to lose their job, they didn't want to get arrested, or whatever the case may be. So if you're already scared to go through a state because they are actually enforcing the laws that are dictate, you don't need to be behind the wheel. These companies are hiring these drivers just left and right, and also that's causing the freight rates to go down. So we know inflation's still a little high. The dollar's not as worth as much as it was, let's say, 5 years ago. And like during COVID, everybody was making bank during COVID. Freights for reefer and van were probably $3 plus a mile. Step decks were well above that. Oversized was paying stupid money. But then all of a sudden it dropped back down. Your dollar's worth less. Maintenance has gone up. Parts have gone up. Tires have increased in prices, up 213% within the last 2 years. So if you were getting $5,000 to haul a load from, let's say, Oklahoma City to Laredo, Texas, for example, for step deck, oversized, that same load now is probably going to pay about $2,500, 50% less. Fuel is still high. The dollar's worth less. Maintenance has gone up. Everything's gone up, and so you're making less money because you're getting these other companies that are that came from another country, come over here. They get investors from their country to buy all these trucks, these Freightliners, Internationals, whatever it is they're buying. But we all know it's pretty much Freightliner and International and Volvos. Buying all these trucks, held together by duct tape and all that, and they're sticking their drivers in there that they know shouldn't be in a truck, but they don't care because they're gonna run freight. And 99% of the time, they're going to run it and not get caught, or they're going to run it and not have any problems, but there's always that 1% they're going to get into an accident. And there's a trucking company in California that I know it's like that. They don't actually run insurance. When the driver actually crashed right in front of me, debris went everywhere. And when I went through that accident site, my steer tire hit a piece of metal that came off of one of their trucks, or one of the trucks that got hit, because he rear-ended somebody else because he was on the phone while he was driving. Well, when I went to go file for their insurance, because I stopped the truck and talked to the state trooper there in Illinois, he gave me all the information, blah, blah, blah. they didn't have insurance. They had insurance card in their truck, you know, in his permit book. But once they paid that first premium, they let it lapse. So that way they had the piece of paper. Like I said, these companies are running very badly on the dark side, because now they're like, well, if I don't have to pay $13,000 a year worth of insurance per each truck, I can just pay the initial payment, get the insurance information, and get the insurance showing that I have insurance, get the paper, and then I'll just let them all lapse. So if you're running a fleet of, let's say, 50 trucks, you're just gonna pay the initial $10,000-$15,000, and you'll tell the insurance company, we'll finance the rest, but you don't pay another bill. Your insurance lapses, and you still show you have insurance, and they go to another insurance company the following year. They do that up to 5 years, and then they turn around and recycle it again. But they didn't have insurance, so therefore their operating cost is now going to be lower than the ones who are doing it right, like myself. So they're underbidding all this freight, and it's hurting all of us, and the quality of drivers is causing accidents. There's more accidents now regarding trucks of inexperienced drivers that don't go through the programs. And we're going to talk about that in a future video. So let's talk about, on April 14, 2025, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed into law HB 1745, which is now officially called Act 604. And I'm going to put the literature up on this video. But it basically states that you have to read and speak English, you have to demonstrate it, and if you get caught, it's $500 and it's $1,000 after that. I think it's it's headed in the right direction. But now I think the federal government needs to actually step involved as well. And I'm going to give you a quick scenario on why I think the federal government needs to actually really focus down on these states as well. So Arkansas could have probably took the law a little bit further. Like, for example, you need to probably be a U.S. citizen or a natural citizen born in the country. And there might be some waivers to certain people, for example, that could probably need to do this. So I haul a lot of military, and I'm former military myself, but I haul a lot of military. And the one thing it says on the load board, it says must be a U.S. citizen and must be able to read and speak English. Now, do I go to some of these military bases and I see people who don't do that? Well, yeah, but a lot of times these the Air Force is very strict on that. You better be able to, they better be able to understand you, or you're not getting on that base. So with that being said, if the government is saying, hey, you need to be a U.S. citizen to come on our military installation, and you need to be able to read and speak English, why don't we translate that to everything in the country? Because the trucking industry is actually part of a national security plan for the United States. What's the first thing they do during a natural disaster? They waive the rules of regulation as far as hours of service concerned, and they get supplies into the states. The hurricane that hurt North Carolina and Florida and all that, I was hauling FEMA stuff in there. Of course, that's a whole nother headache. But they do waive the hours of service and certain rules and regulations, so you can hurry up and get that product where it needs to be: food, water, fuel, equipment, etc. So it is actually a matter of national security that the trucking industry needs to be mandated by U.S. citizens. I can't go to Spain and drive for them without going through their rules and regulations and learning their language and stuff. So it really needs to be the same here. If you could narrow this down and make it where the United States of America and the government and these states follow suit and follow what's actually written on the law books, and also pass new legislation saying that in order to get a CDL, you need to be a U.S. citizen or a natural born citizen. And if you have a criminal record, that's depending on whatever, but you know, if you have a criminal record, you're not going to get on military bases. But in the end, you should still be able to get your CDL and still deliver freight. Some of these places that are sensitive, NASA, SpaceX, the military, anything that's food grade, as far as like bulk food, like for example, hopper bottoms and stuff like that, I think all those need to be very the individuals need to be vetted when you're hauling it, because you can affect the well-being of the American population and the other people, because we do export some of this stuff out as well. All I can say is that they really need to focus on this. Oklahoma is the next state that's looking to pass a law similar to this. So if you live in Oklahoma, please call Governor Stitt. I live there as well. I've already left my voicemail regarding this. They need to pass a law similar to what Arkansas passed. They need to take it a little bit further. And the Department of Transportation of the Trump administration, and guys, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, or Independent. This affects all of us. Every single red-blooded American and visitor and everybody in the United States, this affects us all. It affects when we're traveling on the roads. It affects what we buy at the grocery stores, everything we buy at Walmart, Target, or any big box store, Amazon, and oh my goodness, Amazon's another one that just hires these owner-operators that don't read or speak English. So this really needs to be a law that needs to be really enforced by the states when they're issuing these CDLs. They need to be stricter on it. If you can't read or speak English fluently, if you can't do a 3rd grade test in English, got to go. No CDL. If you're not an American, born in this country, or a naturalized citizen, got to go. No CDL. You can still come here, go work somewhere else. When it comes to the national security of the United States, because that's what the trucking industry is, we're the backbone. We're the ones that keeps this country going. Can't get a CDL. And if you do that, you're going to see a lot of these accidents start dwindling down. You might see some companies go out of business. Like I said, there's that one company in California I was telling you about. They'll probably go out because none of their drivers are probably born in the United States, and none of them can really speak English. There's another one in Ohio that I'm kind of dealing with right now, because I was parked and he hit me, and I was asleep, and he was pulling straight and still hit me. And that's another company that would probably go under, because none of their drivers can speak English, because the guy that hit me couldn't speak English. In fact, he was running on somebody else's CDL. So with that being said, talk to your legislators, call Governor Stitt in Oklahoma, tell him to pass this law. Start standing up. As long as we sit idle and do nothing, nothing's going to happen. Start telling your elected representatives to make enforced laws or pass new legislations. And this is my opinion. But if you're going to put the well-being of the country in the hands of truck drivers, then it needs to be in the hands of Americans. I know it sounds harsh, and I don't mean it to. I really don't. If you want to join the military, the United States asks you, are you a U.S. citizen or a natural born citizen? You have to be one of those. There are some waivers for like territory, like Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico is actually sovereign territory of the United States, so they're allowed to serve in the military. So, but there is certain circumstances, yes. But we cannot let our economy, our capitalist program, our society be based off of just whoever can get a piece of plastic and drive a truck, and hopefully they make it from point A to point B without killing anybody. Look in the news. A lot of the accidents that are happening on these companies that don't speak English. Just the other day, was it the other day or was it yesterday? I want to say it was yesterday. Actually, on Wednesday, I want to say it was probably Wednesday or Thursday. I was traveling on I-40. It was between Memphis, Tennessee and Little Rock. Started pouring down rain. I was coming up on an exit, and all of a sudden I hear on the CB radio, hey, westbound, slow it down. We got a full stop. So I slowed down. I got off the exit, went around it. Then several hours later, I checked on Facebook, and apparently there was an 8-vehicle accident on I-40 Now, it was pouring down rain. I could barely see. The windshield wipers were just doing this. You know how many trucks were passing me and going full bore? I was running about 63 miles an hour. And these trucks were just in the left lane, just passing me left and right. I mean, they were all probably within maybe 3 or 4 feet of each other in a straight line, just going. And out of all those were a lot of Amazon drivers, you know, whatever. Well, they all caused an accident up there. And like I said, I saw it on Facebook, and the interstate was still shut down for hours. I-40 is a bad corridor anyways. These trucks just fly through there. But they don't care. They don't follow the speed limits. They don't follow the construction signs. Trucks must use left lane. I'm just saying, guys, if you don't like the idea of, well, I think everybody should be able to drive a truck. Okay, that's your opinion. Whatever you want to do, whatever you believe, I'll support you. But follow the rules of the road. If the speed limit is 55, it's 55 for a reason. Unless you're in California. But if you're going through a construction zone, it's 55. It's 55 for a reason. But no, I see these truck drivers just fly right by me. If it's trucks use left lane, I'm in the left lane, and I'm seeing all these other trucks. And I'm going to tell you right now, every time they pass me, I look to my right, and I'm seeing them, and they either got their foot up on the dash, or they're on their phone, and they're gone. And you know, and I don't profile, but a lot of them are either, you can tell they're not from the country. I mean, we all know that. I mean, if I go to, right now, if I was to pack up my bags and go to, let's say, Spain, you know, I'm going to walk around Spain. You can tell I'm not from there. Well, it's no different here. And they're just trucking. They're just gone, just passing, you know, and then they cause accidents. And then in the wintertime, look, I-40 corridor going through New Mexico and Arizona. How many trucks we see out in the ditch because of snow and ice? Because they're just hauling butt through there. They don't understand, and they don't have the training or the experience, or I guarantee they're not reading the signs that says winter conditions ahead, please slow down. Guys, I'm just saying, we need to really focus on this law, and I'm going to put up on what was passed. So speak to your congressmen, speak to your senators, speak to your governors, get this law passed. Even if, and you're going to see that the roads will start to clear up. Roads will start getting safer, because right now they're not. Government needs to work on the potholes, but we're talking about the quality of drivers that are out there right now. Talk to them. See if we can get some laws passed. You'll see the roads clear up. You'll see the quality of drivers step up. You'll see less accidents happen, less productivity. I'm just saying, things have got to change. We got to get back to the basics, and we got to make sure we're safe out here. Don't put the fate of the country in someone who doesn't care about the country or about the lives of the people around them, because a lot of them don't. My next video is going to be over truck stop etiquette, on reason why there's things to do at the truck stop, reason why we pull up to the yellow line after fueling, reason why we don't take showers while we're at the fuel line, and parking, and the reason why a lot of companies don't like us parking in their lots now, because of the type of drivers that are out there that just destroy the lots by trashing them. But please, guys, this is my first video. I will get better at this. If you like what I had to say, great. Please comment. If you don't like what I had to say, please comment. I do believe in the First Amendment 100%. Please like and subscribe to this channel. The more subscriptions we get, the better content we could probably put out there, and maybe we can get some people to sponsor, some people who want to do interviews. But my name is Ray. I'm the political trucker. Please be safe out there. Please keep the shiny side up, and God bless, and return home safe. Talk to you later.